Importance of startups in today's world. No? So I'm your moderator, Ms. Jody Cruel from Thames International College. Now to open our webinar, we'll have opening remarks from Dato Ramesh Kodammal. He's the co-chair of ASEAN-India Business Council and country chair of AIBC Malaysia. Sir?
Thank you, and a very good morning to all of you. I have got wonderful speakers with us here today from Cambodia, from Malaysia, and we are also having a speaker coming in from India. The idea of this webinar is that we want people to come forward and listen to the professionals for their views which they give on certain topics. Might be we'll have a small number of participants, but the idea of this webinar is to record it and to pass on to the right people for information. Not everyone today can join in a talk according to the timing, but we AIBC have found a better formula that whenever we have a webinar meeting, the speakers are there, and we carry on, we record this message and pass it on. So thank you, my dear speakers who are here this morning participating in this. I can assure you that linking with AIBC will give you a great opportunity to link with the businesses in ASEAN and India. As you all know that I've always been telling that we have got a very huge platform within ASEAN and India. And it's time now that we try to see that how best we can actually make use of it. Because I personally feel that we have the tools to take this agenda of relationship between ASEAN and India to greater heights. So my dear friend, today, Mr. Johnny from what you call the Philippines, Mr. Sandeep from Cambodia, they have always been supporting, and all the AIBC members have always been supporting to see that what actually we can do to help the businessmen in various sectors. And today we have chosen the topic startups. And startups is something new in a way that it's a new phase which has been used for businesses which come up. But if you really look at history and the past, every business is a startup. They start up at one point or the other, they move to a different level. So all the micro SMEs, the SMEs, and even the public listed company, the GLCs and PLCs, at one point of time, they were a startup. But their direction was totally different. They started up with different tools, and today the startups are working in a sense to get additional tools with them to move on a different level. Today we have got our experts with us who are going to speak to us on startups. But my reminder to all you businessmen, whether you are already there or you are a startup, the principles of business must always remain. We can work together, we can move together, we can look for various means and implement in our business. We understand that startups need finance, they need human resources to grow their business, they need technology to move forward. These are the real things which today startups need. But the basic principles of business must not be forgotten. How are you going to really manage your business? What are the tools which you are going to plow into your business to take it to greater heights? In every business, there are various stages. We call it the first stage, second stage, and third stage. And then we call it the ultimate stage. If you are a startup, you have created a business, might be you want to sell it off. But that is only the norm which is happening today. Startups come up with some idea. The investor sees that this idea is a viable idea, and then the investor comes in, he picks up the business and grows the business to a different height. And then the poor person who has really started the business sits down behind the chair and think, what did I do? This was a fantastic idea which I had. I just given it out of my hand. So I think startups must be also very careful when they are trying to sell off their business, because it is a creation which is there that an investor wants to plow on it and benefit from it. So my advice to startups is be careful when you are trying to sell off your business. Be careful when you are getting investors. They must be the right investors to grow with you together. And you, as a startup, must have the advantage of it. It is not that you create something and you give it up. That is not the idea. So I think we should explain to the startup the real norms of it. People who are investors have got money in their pocket. They buy over things because they don't have the ideas what the startups have. So if you have an idea and you are moving as a startup, you must get investors and keep a share in the company for you to benefit, because it is your idea which you have originated. Don't give everything up. But if you are trying to grow your business, you must also see that you have to use your tools which you have to succeed in the business towards the end. Starting a business is very easy, and moving the business forward to leave a legacy is something different. If you want to leave a legacy in your business, you must have the right tools which are planted in your business. The principles of business must be laid in the foundation. As your startup, as you grow, you will benefit the returns. It's no point creating a business and then halfway it does not have certain principles and norms to carry forward. Just take examples like businesses like Tata's. They have been there for more than a century. They have implemented certain things, certain tools in their business, which they feel it is important, and it has been carried on. So to my dear startups, startup is not only a startup. Startup is a business where you start up, where you manage it, where you try your best to remain in it, not to sell out everything for money's sake. Grow the business, have the principles, and create a legacy over it. Don't waste the opportunity of coming up with something great in your life and just giving it for peanuts and someone else benefit from it. Today, technology is such a thing that everyone can move so fast, learn it, move forward, and benefit from it. So to my startups who are there universally, now we are in the 21st century. We are moving into a different norm. We must understand that we all are here to benefit from the ideas which we create. We can share the benefit with our investors. We can share the benefit with people who support us, but you must also make sure that you have a strategy to keep the businesses with you in a certain way, in a certain portion, that because of your creation, you too can benefit in the long run. So with that, I think I will leave the balance of the advice which is going to be given by my dear friends who are here from Malaysia, India, and Cambodia, and my other friends who would like to speak. And I always tell to my dear listeners, when you are listening to things, if you doubt something, please ask, and the questions will be answered. ASEAN-India Business Council is a council which would like to spread its wings to the business community, to support them, to help them, and to see that wherever we can facilitate some of their needs, we do not promise, but we will help them with the right connection to get people to join them in whichever direction they feel it's appropriate. So my dear friend, with that, thank you very much. I'll just pass it back to our friend, Mr. Sandeep, to introduce the speakers, and we will carry on with the session. Once again, thank you, my dear friends. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Sir Dato, for the inspiring words. No? And now for the introduction of speakers, we have Mr. Sandeep Majumdar, President of Indian Chamber of Commerce-Cambodia.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to announce that, okay, our first speaker is already joined. So I'll just do a quick introduction of our today's speaker. Our first speaker is Mr. Ajit Kumar. Mr. Ajit is into sustainable development, happiness, thinker, planner, integrator, implementer, speaker, communicator, motivator, and writer. He has been doing social work and practical research on sustainable development since the early 90s. The background of the vision of Kushigram was prepared when he was in primary school in early 80s. He is the founder of Kushigram and Vision 2030 for creating and reviving happy villages, cities, and communities. As a journalist, social worker, speaker, writer, actor, director, leader, and member of several local, national, and global groups across sector, he has been putting his best for the better, healthier, happier, harmonious, kinder, and peaceful world based on share and care, truth, trust, and transparency, and believe that together nothing is impossible. Our second speaker would be Ms. Mam Dathalneth from Cambodia. She's wearing a couple of hats. Some of them I myself did not know since I got her profile. I came to know that she's wearing 7-8 hats. So she's in the Ministry of Information as advisor with the rank of Under Secretary of State. Ma'am Dathalneth is a Cambodian constitutional counselor. She is the former advisor to His Royal Highness Prince Norodom Sirawit. She is the CEO of the CAMPURECO Company Limited, which she owns. She is also a shareholder in the Dawn and Green Action Engineering Company Limited. She is a professor. She is also the founder of CAM Book Club. She's the vice president of Cambodian Women Entrepreneur Association. She's the board member of LSE, and she's also a political advisor to AIBC Singapore. Wow, I never knew this. It's very lucky to have you in our show today as a speaker. And our third speaker is from Malaysia, Mr. Nedumaran. Mr. Nedumaran is a strategic consultant in charge of formulating strategic intervention and programs of technology ecosystem. He's accumulated 16 years of experience in program development, regulatory planning, and project management in various sectors, including government, oil and gas, and power, specializing in managing critical accounts and high-level stakeholders. Currently, he works in the space of advisor and mentoring of startups, which is our today's right, working with government agencies such as Cradle Fund and Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation. He also provides his thought leadership to help institutes of higher learning and technology accelerates to build innovation modules to the curriculum. Previously, he has worked in the roles as Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation and was the head of the program in Hong Leong Exchange, the Hong Leong Group's innovative system. I welcome all the speakers of today. Over to you for inviting the speakers, please.
Should I start?
Yes, please.
So thanks a lot, and namaskar to everyone from Bharat, India. And I'm delighted to be with such august speakers and eminent speakers from whom I can learn more. In fact, I'm here to learn more rather to speak more. So I know.
Ajit ji, we can't hear you. Ajit ji, we can't hear you. Mr. Ajit, we can't hear you. You can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Is it fine now?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Good. So, namaskar, everyone from India, Bharat, and I'm here to learn more from eminent people who are speakers here. So, and see how more we can contribute as startups and as working on integration of sustainable development across the not only Bharat but across the countries, our neighbors with whom we had relations for millennia, we can say, not years, not decades, not centuries, but millennia old relationships. And the way we have interacted, not through business only, but through trade, apart from trade, cultural relations, a lot of relations. So sustainable development, all of you are quite learned and know well about sustainable development. 2015, it was ratified by many countries at the UN meeting to have sustainable development goals to the 17 goals and 167 targets were fixed, and many countries, most of the countries signed on those agreements. India also signed, was one of the first signatories along with many ASEAN. I think most of the ASEAN countries have already signed in the initial phase only. So, and it's very clear that we have to live together. Togetherness is the key. And as we talk of startups or anything we talk of, we have to be together. In startups, what happens is when we start, then we have some idea, maybe a little bit money or no money, or maybe some money, or maybe one or two team member, or maybe we don't have any member and we try to get more members in our team. So this is the way we start at the basic level. But then how we move, and why I'm trying to connect with sustainable development, because unless we do it sustainably, we are not going to succeed. We are not going to reach out to the more number of customers or the partners or stakeholders which we wanted to initially. So we have to look at all aspects, and we have to look at the resources that we have at our disposal, as well as the resources we have around which we can gather and accumulate for our startups. So in India, what we are trying to do is I'll try to tell a little bit about what we are doing in India in maybe 2-3 minutes or so. That in India, we are trying to work with many startups along with the government and agencies, big corporates also. So trying to see that they give maximum work to the startups in terms of services, as well as they take products from them. Because the main challenge for startups is competitiveness. Because the large scale companies have factories, big factory setups, and their production is automated, and they do it very fast at a very low cost. And their systems are also quite old, so people have an understanding. So a lot of human resources, a lot of resources are cut, so they do it at a very low cost. Startups have and what startups have to do now, so startups have to do innovation to compete with them, and also to partner with them in a way that look at their certain basic supply chain, part of the supply chain, where they can partner with the big companies or even the governments or the PSUs. And this is there what we do is we do basically coordination, help in planning, integration, aggregation of all the products and services that are available, required by the big companies, PSUs or governments, or the communities. It can be resident welfare association, it can be a colony, it can be a city government, municipal corporation, and trying to bring all the product and services at one place, so that we can't stay without any of these. We need clean air to breathe. 5 minutes, maximum 4-5 minutes, we can stay without air. 2-3 minutes, I don't know how much, it depends on everyone's capacity, but not no more than 10 minutes, of course. And water, without which we can read maybe few hours or few days maximum. Food, maybe few more days, so 10 days, 15 days, 20 days maximum. People who go on fast or do fast, or Rishi Maharshis or the sages, they have been on fast for some days, or in some agitation also people go on fast until death. So they go for 10, 20, 30, 40 days. That is the maximum limit that one can go. But then we need food after that, at least. And then good habitat where we can be happy, healthy. We have all these facilities like around. We don't have to carry water for 100 miles, 200 miles, 500 miles, and 500 kilometers. We don't have to get the food from 1,000, 2,500 kilometers. So we should try to have this in our habitat, so it will be closer to our place. Then we have to look at biodiversity, because as there is a as biodiversity diminishes or decreases in any country, the number of species are going extinct or they are facing threats, then the environment has a lot of challenges. The balance that we have, the thin, we are on a thin sort of balance that nature has created for us, and it is so thin that now it's at a huge risk. All of us know that climate change is here, and the temperature, people are trying to see that the temperature doesn't increase beyond 1.5 or 2 degrees, which is still tough if we go by case to case scenario, as current scenario. So we have to work very hard for this. We have to work together with startups. What we feel and what we think and what we say, tell everyone, is that we have to collaborate, we have to cooperate. Of course, competition is there, competition, healthy competition will be there, but we have to collaborate and cooperate more. That is more important. And how we can do is that we should have the values of share and care. We have to share the resources. We have to share the benefits also, share the profits also. That is what we call Shubh Labh. In India, in Hindi, we call Shubh Labh. Shubh Labh means integration of planet, that is nature, people, that is society, and profit, that is money, economy. So integration of environment, society, societal needs, society's needs, and economic issues. So that is what sustainable development is there. And many corporates, thankfully, across the world, and especially even the big and the small, all categories, are working a lot on these, and many of them have excellent examples, and they do a lot of good CSR programs also. And some organizations do much more than CSR programs that are mandated. Like in India also, I know certain companies like Tata's and some other companies also, they are doing a lot more than that was mandated. Shriram Group earlier used to do a lot in education and institutions. So similarly, many international companies are there that are doing good, and some startups are doing it right from the beginning. Like I'll talk about our previous startup, which is Radiance Media, which we started about 2 decades back. The day we started, we had clearly mandated, and that time CSR was not so popular and people didn't have a proper definition of CSR, corporate social responsibility. But we said that we will handhold other organizations and we'll give them media or communication support. We'll give them staff if required. We'll outsource things, and we won't charge, or we'll charge minimal as they can, as per their affordability, for any social cause or any environmental cause or any public cause. And we did that in a very, very good way. And we didn't accumulate a lot of money, but we accumulated a lot of social wealth, you can say, or a lot of collaboration and a lot of cooperation. And we helped a lot of organizations through that credibility that we built and through the work that we did. So it also has value. A lot of money is not the only thing that we have to look in when we talk of economy or trade. We have to look at values also, social values, environmental values, learning from each other, learning the innovations from each other, how we can be more sustainable. And every time we have to compete with each other, with ourselves, to improve more, so that we have a good sustainable development footprint, not just environment footprint or water footprint, but all the footprints, share and care footprint. How we can do, what we can do more. A lot of eminent speakers are there, and if there is a question, we can talk more. But basically, all facilities can be given at a community instead of traveling huge distances. That we have to reduce. So we reduce the carbon footprint, a lot of footprints, congestion we reduce, and using public transport, so public vehicles, that is what we promote. And all these we promote as a business. We don't just do it as a social thing, we do it as a social venture. So we say social and green initiatives platform. So we have partners, NGOs, partner companies from India, some from outside. And right now we are targeting India and Nepal more, because we are launching our membership just tomorrow on Janmashtami. And we say Lord Krishna was one of the greatest sustainable development icons and oldest sustainable development icons, because he worked across the sustainable development goals that we have defined now in 2015. So he was into music, art, biodiversity, animals, hills, river, water, everything. He was almost everywhere. Peace, harmony, tried to broker peace between two parties, whosoever has heard the story or read the stories. So on this day, 3 years before, we started a Global Sustainable Development Festival, not a conference. Because, you know, when we talk of festival, all of us are happy, enjoy, we have smiles at our face, we sing and dance together. And we had Bhutan as our partner, and Bhutan came as an informal partner at the last stage, because they had Indo-Bhutan partnership, 50 years of Indo-Bhutan partnership, and they supported us with all the beautiful decorations that Bhutan had, and we had a nice time, full day time near India Gate in New Delhi, which is the hub of which is the central place in New Delhi, the most important place in New Delhi, India. So, and it was like we discussed everything from waste management, food, agriculture, and we had very authentic ethnic and healthy food also, because we have to feed ourselves well with clean air, water, and food, as I said, and a good habitat to be happy and healthy. And we have to be happy and healthy. We have to learn from many other countries. We heard that many Japanese islands people average of people is more than 100. So how age is not the factor. Only we should not be 100 plus, but we should be happily 100 plus. We should be healthy and 100 plus. And then we should leave the legacy, good legacy for our children. We should balance the population. It's not that we have to just produce children like many people, like the animals. We are civilized, we are cultured. So we have to keep a balance so that we just don't occupy all the space. We have to leave space for other species also, other partners, other people also, through whom we can balance well and learn from each other and work together. I think I'll conclude with this. If there is any other point, we can talk more. If it's not clear, I know that I have been talking quite on wide range of issues and tried to connect a lot of dots. But whatever time is left, I can talk maybe in the second half or towards the end or during the question and answer session. Thanks a lot and thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kumar. Now our next speaker is Nedumaran Elangovan, Strategy Innovation Consultant from Malaysia.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you again for actually inviting me to this session. So I'm actually blessed to be with such a wonderful company and people that are much more experienced in the industry than me. Maybe I can actually share something about myself, and then perhaps we can go from there. So my name is Nedumaran. I'm actually representing the Malaysian Associated Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, MICI. And I, as a person, I'm actually a startup consultant. Right? For me, I eat, breathe, sleep, and everything. What I do is actually related to startups, especially from the technology ecosystem. And it happens to be this week is Malaysia week. We want to celebrate the National Day on the 31st of August. So I thought since we have a wonderful set of audience from the ASEAN region, maybe share a little bit about what Malaysia essentially has been doing in the startup space, and also share with you why Malaysia has actually created an ecosystem for people from all over the world, from the region, from India to actually to come and perhaps use Malaysia gateway for the ASEAN region. So that's going to be my presentation for today. Just a very quick one to give people a little bit of understanding of what we will achieve, what you can achieve if you be in Malaysia, and some of the incentives that the Malaysian government is giving for startups, especially for the startups that want to use Malaysia as a regional hub for them to go into the ASEAN region. So again, about me, I've been in the industry for about 16, 17 years, very much into startups. I think Mr. Sandeep essentially has done some quite a thorough introduction about me, so perhaps I don't have to speak about it again, right? And in Malaysia, as you see right now, as a country of 30 million people, we have close to about 4,000 startups in the country, right? And even like the big unicorns in the region actually started from Malaysia. People like to see Grab as a Singaporean company, but I would like to clarify that Grab kind of started out in Malaysia before they moved their headquarters into Singapore. At the moment, Malaysia as a whole, we do not have a unicorn yet. A unicorn is a startup that we value for $1 billion US dollars. Right now, there is a startup that's going to be a unicorn, which is Custom, raising funds to become a unicorn. But at the same time, we have a lot of startups that are leading their fields in the verticals that they're in. For example, Aerodyne is a company that does drones, which is one of the biggest growing companies in the world. So as a country of 30 million people, we have 3,000 to 4,000 startups, which we see is an achievement by itself. And it's growing, the number is growing. The Malaysian government wants to have more startups. So in order for us to actually have more startups, the Malaysian government has done a lot of programs and initiatives to have startups. And for example, right now, we actually have multiple government agencies looking at multiple incentives for startups. We have, of course, the Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation, the agency under the Malaysian Ministry of Communication and Multimedia. They are forefronting the digital economy of Malaysia. I used to work for MDEC, so I kind of have a soft spot for the agency. And the agency kind of does a lot of programs for startup development. And when Mr. Ajit was speaking about social entrepreneurship, social enterprises and everything, those group of startups has not been forgotten as well. We have the Malaysian Global Innovation and Creative Center, MAGIC as we call it, an agency that looks at startups and also at social enterprises. So that's something that we are doing as well. We have agencies that are actually providing funding for startups. We have Penjana Capital recently launched that provides startup funding. The fund size is about $1 billion US dollars. And then we also have a Cradle Fund, which is the agency under the Ministry of Finance, providing startups. But one of the things that Malaysia also realized is that you can create an ecosystem and you also can create funding, you can create ecosystem enablers, but you also need to go and change the way government does things. So the Malaysian Productivity Council, the logo you see here, MPC, was also pulled into the startup ecosystem. So I think this is something that the Malaysian government learned from looking at different models across the world. So the Malaysian Productivity Corporation, or MPC, came in right now to change regulations and help startups overcome regulatory barriers and policy barriers that might arise from them working with the government. So this is something that the Malaysian government actually has been doing as a whole. At the same time, the government also have set up multiple special economic regions and also zones for us to look at different verticals of things. We have Cyberjaya, which is the Silicon Valley of Malaysia. We like to call it the zone set up in 1997 to help accelerate the IT ecosystem. Inside there, we have the Futurize Center looking at regulatory sandboxes. We have manufacturing hubs looking at startup and technology in Penang, through Invest Penang in Sarawak, which is in the East Malaysia. And then we also have different zones looking at different things. For example, the DRZ Iskandar looking at drone and robotics. So we do have different zones looking at different technology areas focusing on startups. So we are actually inviting startups from the region that actually have a certain technology that are relevant to the zones to come and set up their base here. I'll talk about some incentives that the Malaysian government has been giving later. We have actually created a strong logistics base. You can probably drive from Singapore straight up to Bangkok in maybe about 18 hours or 20 hours. I've done it. So these are the things that probably you can actually look at when you're also setting up, especially if you're from the, for example, we know we have a lot of participants from India. If you plan to set up a logistics base as for you to actually to move around in Malaysia, perhaps Singapore would seem like a logical option. But then again, Malaysia is way much cheaper than Singapore, and we do have the digital free trade zone, ports, and train freight services available throughout most of the region in Asia, in the ASEAN region. So this is something that we always try to sell to startups, to scale ups, to companies that are planned to set up their base. Let it be coming from India to access the ASEAN region. Please come into Malaysia. We have all these logistics. You can move your product services everywhere. At the same time, we're also selling the concept of the manufacturing hub. Oil and gas manufacturing is huge in Malaysia, and we have multiple manufacturing parts. Another thing I would like to actually entice startups from the region is that Malaysia has a very vibrant, high mix, low volume production manufacturing facilities, which means that this is something that startups need. You want equipment, electronic equipment in low volume, multiple type of equipments. This is something that the Malaysian government actively is promoting. You don't actually have to go to China anymore. You can actually do your production here in Malaysia. This is another thing that perhaps startups in the space of hardware, IoT, and devices you might want to consider, right? And talent is another thing that we would like to promote. We have top-ranking universities in the ASEAN region. At the same time, we have a lot of universities that provide courses in technology, and we are way much cheaper than the average salary of perhaps Singapore or other countries as well. And this is something also I would like to share, the cost effectiveness of Malaysia. Malaysia, for you, compared to the region, we are very cheap. In terms of electricity, we make cheaper. Our gas is one of the lowest in the region. And also I would like to share with you is that we have a flat rate tax of 28% for foreigners that are actually making their business in Malaysia. At the same time, if your company is a startup, you can probably enjoy up to 100% of your corporate tax under the MSC Malaysia Status Company Program. Allows you to enjoy tax-free and tax-free benefits up to 10 years. And also we have the Malaysian Tech Entrepreneur Pass Program, which allow you to work in Malaysia for up to 10 years without actually you renewing, getting your employment passes or anything. If you're an entrepreneur, we actually are inviting you to actually to come to Malaysia. I'm giving you, the government saying that I'm giving you all these kind of wonderful incentives. And these are the programs that we're currently running in the country. But on top of all of that, Malaysia actually is ranked one of the best countries to retire and also has a very high global peace index. And if you're looking at beaches, mountains, food, I would like to invite everyone to come to Malaysia. So perhaps in the next session, the Q&A session, you might have questions about more on the landscape of the startups in Malaysia. I can explain that more, but until I think for this particular session, I would like to invite startups that actually have ideas. You want to have a base to the ASEAN region to consider Malaysia, because there has been wonderful programs developed for you. And we hope to see you in the future. And we hope to see more Indian startups in Malaysia as well, because we have a very what we call supportive ecosystem that are looking forward for your arrival. And with that, I kind of end my presentation. I'm looking forward for the questions during the panel session. And thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Elangovan. Now for our next speaker, we have this man, Dathalneth, CEO of CAMPURECO Company, Cambodia.
Okay, first of all, good morning, and good morning to Dato Ramesh Kodammal, co-chair of ASEAN-India Business Council and country chair of AIBC Malaysia. My friend Sandeep Majumdar, president of Indian Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Chotrani, country chair, AIBC Philippines, and all panelists and audience. Today it would be my great honor to start my presentation, but before I start, since my internet is not working very well, so I would like to ask for help from Sandeep. Would you mind helping me to share the screen so I can start my presentation short and concise? Luckily,
Lisa, I think will be helping you with the screen. Our coordinator.
Yeah, Bing.
Lisa, please share.
Yeah, okay. Can you copy your presentation?
Yes, please.
Yeah, this is one of the drawbacks. Okay,
yeah,
next slide, please.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Bing. So, Bing screen sharing.
Yeah, next slide, please. Go to the content. Next, please. Yes. To start my presentation, actually, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Mr. Sandeep and Dato Ramesh again, and of course the panelists who have been spoken very well in terms of startup. I get like more idea how Malaysian government have done and what kind of businesses that the Malaysian people or Malaysian company have think about startup. related to, you know, like different sector. But for Cambodia as a whole, eventually, I'm not going to talk about like, I will talk like about like how do we start up, but I'm going to talk about what is the advantages and what is the Cambodian economic point of view during this pandemic, during this period of time, very difficult time that all of us around the world and not just only Cambodian are encounter. So before we understand very well what are the, you know, like we know already, every issue, every problem always hidden an opportunity. So to ease our understanding, I would like to give you a first glance about Cambodian economic point of view. Please go to the first slide, please. Yes. So as you know already, Cambodian, also as ASEAN, we are very give more value in terms of small and medium-sized enterprise development, and it is a key or priority that ASEAN country or state member, including Cambodian, paid more attention. So SME play an essential role in Cambodian economy. It represents about 70% of employment and 99% of company, which is contributing to 58% of GDP. In the context of increasing of globalization in ASEAN economic community, SME internationalization constitute interesting effect and tool of development. Since my computer got stuck, I could not even see the screen, so please forgive me. And also, the GDP per capita doubled over the past 10 years, reaching to 1,633% in 2019. And also, according to the World Bank, so that our economic growth have reached to the rate of 7.5% in 2018. At the same time, despite we have encountered with the economic with the COVID-19 impact, according to the World Bank, that they have studied last year, I believe, and the number could be changed because the study have done before the event that Cambodian have encountered, we call the community outbreak on 20 of February. Then the World Bank have estimated that we're gonna encounter with a negative GDP growth for the first time in the last 3 decades at the rate of 2% in real growth in 2020. Also, World Bank have focused a quick recovery of GDP growth in 2021 and 2022 in the experience to reach about 4 to 5% or 4 to 5.2% respectively. And like I said earlier, that the number might be changed due to the event that have that we have encountered in the early year 2021 on February. And also the same AIBC and IMF have projected that the GDP growth, the 7th rebound will be happen in 2021 and 2022. And there are a lot of significant opportunity diversify Cambodia economy, and of course, in fact, it needs to be ensure sustainable growth and reduce the country vulnerable to external shock. And when we are talking about ASEAN, as we have known already, everybody have an ASEAN dream. But I would highlight that we should take ASEAN dream. It's not just a fantasy word, you know, but we should take an opportunity and make ASEAN become beneficial for all countries. Very thankfully that ASEAN body have been formed, and Cambodian is one of the member states of ASEAN. So recently, ASEAN have developed the ASEAN Access, where the ASEAN Access will have is a platform that have millions of small medium enterprise across the region and international market, and hope to provide both passive and active information from their ASEAN SME as well as the startup to increase their participant and global value chain. Of course, their export number, and therefore also their contribution to sustainability, exclusive growth in the region. And at the same time, I hope Cambodian, we are all ASEAN state member, will be able to help each other and attract more foreign direct investment. And of course, in terms of labor work mobility enhancement. As you have known already, Cambodian workers have gone to work in overseas in Malaysia, particularly in Korea, in Thailand, as as well as other countries. So this one will be like vice versa. When we need more experts, they can come to Cambodia at the same time, because human resource is very important. And at the same time, all ASEAN state members will be accelerating all the ASEAN integration to make it successfully, not just only the country, but also all political, security, economical, and cultural, social pillar. That is very important. I just forget to mention about the ASEAN dream that I have always heard, and especially that dream that everyone, I hope not just only me, we hope that ASEAN can help us. I will divide it into 5 Ps. Have been stated by one of my dear respected Excellency. He said that number 1 of P is first peace. We need peace. All ASEAN countries, we need peace. Secondly, we need progress, and we have to eliminate poverty. And of course, our government have done very good job. I'm going to talk about next slide, whether in terms of how do we get support for the startup from the government. And of course, people are very important. People, if we have to understand people to people, because we are all ASEANese and we are sharing similar culture, similar idea. Of course, it's not just only the government and government, but heart to heart between people and people. So all of us are able to achieve the integration of ASEAN. And at the same time, ASEAN also helping us to promote the establishment of bilateral free trade area with the major partner in our country. Especially our government have been working very hard on that. And also not just only in our region, but also in Euro-Asia, EU, as well as regional comprehensive economic partner and other free trade agreement as well. And at the same time, the government also try to strengthen the business network by organizing forum. So far, we have seen a lot of forum have been conducted between Cambodia and ASEAN member state. And next year is our opportunity to host. We are holding the chairmanship of ASEAN. So it is a good chance for Cambodia to show to ASEAN member that we are ready to show our harmonization, to show our culture, to show our opportunity, and to show our friendship to all ASEAN, to welcome all ASEAN, and especially not just ASEAN, to the world, that we are ready for that. And thank to our Prime Minister who have done very great job during the impact of the COVID-19, but we still be able to catch up everything. And of course, today, as an example, Indian Chamber of Commerce have conducted this event, which is allowing not just only Cambodian, but other countries to join and to share experiences and to share opportunity where we can, having a great idea of where should we start and so on. And of course, last but not least, we are able to participating actively in international, regional, and bilateral economic cooperation and integration initiative as well. Can you move to next slide, please? Yeah. And if we are talking about the government's policy that have support for the startup as well as SMEs, as I mentioned already, in terms of the startup and SME, the government have been doing very good job, in terms of creating the policy and other framework to provide support to SME as well as startup. Particularly, we talk about women entrepreneur for SME women holding very high position among more than 500,000 SMEs. More than 60% are women already. And also another opportunity for Cambodian as well as for ASEAN country, that we are having high percentage of young entrepreneur of youth, which is under 35 years old, high percentage. So this is when we are talking about youth, it's a good chance for all of us, because youth, they are very energetic, they are very creative, they have high passionation, then they are willing to take risks in terms of doing business as well as other aspects, and they are very very fresh minded. So So because of their fascination, I'm sure we're gonna catch up a lot of opportunity during this period of time as well to build our country and ASEAN to be more prosperous and catch our dream successfully. But come back to our government per se. The government, based on the rectangular strategy phase 4, the government have been formed. One of the strategy among the strategy that the government have been established to help the country grow, especially to achieve our goal by become a high middle income level country in ASEAN by 2030 to 2050. I hope that goal will be achieved. The government have done the national, what they call like national SME policy framework, where the national policy framework aim to promote the culture of entrepreneurship and build government capacity to implement entrepreneurship policy. Also, for the framework as well, it will be addressing the misleading middle by linking SME to international regional market. And also addressing the enterprise challenges which are set to finance, also services through public-private entrepreneur, and support all of the program, including attracting technical and managerial talent needed by growth-oriented enterprise. And not different from other ministry of Ministry of Industry, Science and Technology and Innovation have working very hard in terms of developing the small SME enterprise development policy, which is 5-year planning 2024, to aim to promote all SME, particularly focusing on women. So for the policy as well, we'll be including the partnering with the business associations like Cambodian Women Entrepreneur Association, NGO, and offer vocational training, networking, advocacy, and other organization in terms of trade fair and exhibition all over the country. Also, they plan to develop what they call like Women Development Center, where it provides training, facilitate the access to market, internship, and organizational trade affair as well. And at the same time, for Ministry of Commerce, they have established the SME Center, where it helps all SME to have one-stop service to get all information and get all questions that need to be fulfilled to run their business successfully. And also recently, last year, they just started an online registration form, where is the platform allow all our SME and startup to go here only one window on one-stop service and everything to do online. Because when we are talking about contemporary era, about this era right now, we are talking about Industry 4.0, we are talking about digital transformation. So online registration is a plus in terms of helping all businesses to be able to register and get all information on time. And of course, easy access to all information in other related industry. When we are talking about digital transformation, the e-government have been created, but we cannot forget about the e-commerce law, which is the law framework where allow all of us to follow, and it's easy considered as a roadmap where we can follow and get the support from the government as well. And not different from Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Economy and Finance also prepare some loan. For instance, they have been doing a lot of job, but I'm just talking like few topic that Ministry of Economy and Finance have done. They have disbursed loan about $50 million via the Agriculture and Rural Development Bank to provide low interest loan to farmer and to the startup of small SME to start their businesses. So this is a great news for all of us. And at the same time, Khmer Enterprise and Skill Development Fund also disburse some loan, and also they help in terms of financially, non-financially. They also helping in terms of, like capacity building, reskill or upskill because now upskill and reskilling is a must. Everything have been changed to digital or digitized. So it is very important that all of us cannot ignore all that skill that need to be done and to follow the world. And also, the government also have launched the SME Bank that happens in last year with the loan amount of 150 million US dollar to provide to SME with the low interest rate, and they are working cooperatively with the other bank in Cambodia. So it's a good chance for all SME to have a low interest rate from that SME banking. And last but not least, the Cambodian Guarantee Corporate Cambodia PLC, which is the state-owned enterprise, they established by the subdegree on number 140 ANKR. So the CRCC mission is to provide credit guarantee to the lender on loan made to business based on international standard and share at risk with the lender to improve financial inclusive. So this is very good for us because now a lot of SME have been, encounter with the same problem. They want to increase their capital. However, they are not able because they don't have enough collateral. So with the CGCC, this is a good chance for us to cooperate with them. And then the CGCC are also working closely with some bank in Cambodia to provide guarantee, credit guarantee. So you don't need to have a collateral, but you have to go through some process. And yes, you will have a backup from the CGCC to help you that you are able to get the loan, even though you don't have any collateral to asset to put as a collateral for your loan. And also, the Startup Center is one of the most important center where it helps to foster and creation of new tech startup and SME. Dato Center is a startup center where provide an innovation arm of Ministry of Economy and Finance, which aim to build the viable early stage in emerging tech startup by igniting innovation and technology. So with this Dato Center, it provides us a lot of, especially in terms of, like people who have talented with the startup business related to the technology. So this is one of the things that the government have been supporting so far. And of course, last but not least, the creation of ICT Startup Center, which is the partnering between Program for Country Partnership and UNIDO, aim to develop the sustainable tourism, the development of competitiveness agri-industry, and creative industry value chain. And the last part is industrial diversification, in particular through the development of special economic zone. So these are some activity and strategy that the government have done to enforce or also to support all startup businesses and SME. As you know already, SME play an important role. It's the backbone of our economic, and the development, the positive result SME will help us to boost our economic growth. Next, please. Now I just want to catch up a little bit about startup. I know it's not maybe for the ASEAN state member also find the same, and especially I'm want to focusing on the youth for our country, our below country, that a lot of youth encounter more than 50% of the population are aiming and willing to take a lot of challenges to start up your own business. So this is just a small tip or a small advice that I have encountered, because when I first start my business in the past 6 years, I also bearing the same burden, and then it's hard for me to look for the support. And it's hard for me to talk with somebody about what I really want. So now it's a good chance. I would like to take a small a short time to share with you, like, why should we start up and what kind of preparation that we should get ready. So first, if you have your passion, just go ahead. Nobody gonna block you. Don't allow anybody to block you. Follow your dream. And if you have to dream big. As the president, former president of America, Donald Trump, he said, if you have to dream, why don't you dream big? So dream big, find your own passion, know your market very well, and get all your financial order. And, like when we talk about finance, it does not, you have to have all money in hand, but you start with your business plan, and then you can know exactly how much money do you need, and then go through with the how to allocate the resource. Could be borrow from bank, borrow from friend and family, and your saving, of course. And of course, when you start your business, you have to think about, you don't have your own time anymore. You have to sacrifice your daily routine. Working from 8 to 5 will be no more exist. It doesn't exist anymore. You have to work hard. Sometimes you have to work overtime, and like sometimes you have to go outside of the box, push the envelope. And always discuss, find your mentor. My good mentor, thanks to Sandeep, sometimes I talk to him, I have problem, he always advise me, and like we exchange some idea vice versa. And from time to time, eventually not from time, you should boost up your business energy, your knowledge. Now we are talking about technology. Because of the COVID pandemic, nobody think about technology that much. Based on the Economic Forum, estimated that the technology will be widespread and will be increasing in at least the next 5 or 10 years. But because of the COVID pandemic, everybody, even though like old generation, know how to use Zoom, and a lot of businesses have been like using as a startup part of their startup businesses, and being innovative idea, not just an idea. Everything in terms of product innovation, idea innovation, process innovation, everything need to be updated and have to be innovated. And of course, you have to follow up all the regulation of the government in terms of starting up, because there are a lot of law and regulation have been issued lately. And if you did not follow all these law and regulation, you will have an issue. I read an article, and also I have some friend who sharing with me that to start up is easy, but the most challenging for them is to follow the law and regulation. Already start up, they start with less money, they start with nothing. Sometimes they just have an idea or they have less experiences, so it's very burden for them to start a legal line. But most of the government supporting strategy or task that I have just said earlier, it requires you to be legalized. But for the startup, since they are just startups, they don't want to register, because they said if they register, it's hard for me. They don't know whether they start up successfully or not. So if they register, which means they have to tie themselves with some law and regulation, especially in terms of taxes. But I just forget I just want to add some I just forgot to say about taxi. We have tax incentive from the government. So I encourage all startups to follow the guideline and follow the law and regulation. And of course, you will be able to get benefit in terms of, tax incentive and other support from the government per se. And to end, add next slide, please. For the segmentation that you should focus, I would give my sort of idea that you should start with something with technology startup. Now, even though Facebook people now, before they use Facebook as just a laser, and catch up some network, friend and family, but now they use Facebook as a tool to do business. Sometimes I went shopping. Last night I stayed off because I was drink a lot of coffee, so I could not sleep. And then I am browsing. So the seller who sell something on Facebook, they still can sell something to me during the middle of the night. So this is a good thing about technology. And e-commerce, now we can see a lot of women entrepreneur and also a new startup tech. They start with app, with e-commerce, with e-shopping and so on. And the education also cannot be forgotten. The country can be prosperous without the young talented people and educated people. So education institution is very important. You don't need to think about open university or start with a university, but start with something short like short courses, soft skill, sometimes soft skill training cannot be happen in the university, but if you can provide short 3 months, 1 month, or maybe a week or 2 weeks, it would be very interesting, because everybody are hunger to get education right now. And agriculture businesses is also play an important role, and the government, this is part of the government, one of the government industry that the government really support. And of course, it's a good chance for us because we have a lot of land leave it empty. Despite some real estate business have purchased a lot of land, but still there are some empty land. If you are coming to Cambodia, you drive all the way down from Phnom Penh to provinces, there are plenty of land that we could do something. So why don't we start something with agriculture businesses in our country to promote local product, to promote our prosperity, and to give employment rate to our country as well. Yes, I would like to end up my presentation now. I think I'm not go over time. Sandeep.
No. Okay, absolutely fine. Very informative, very informative. So,
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, ma'am, for your talk. Now we open the floor for question and answer. We're now in our open forum session. Is there anybody who wants to pose the questions to our speakers? Or no? Please feel free to put it in the chat, or you can simply turn on your mic and a camera so we can give the floor to you and ask a question. So, are there any questions so far from the audience regarding to our speakers? Any questions so far? Okay, I really like Miss Mam's talk about following legal compliance in terms of startups. I also have the same problem here in the Philippines when I'm teaching young startups. They don't want to follow the policies, government policies, because they're not sure if they're gonna succeed or not, no. So I really like Miss Mam's talk about it, because it's a usual problem even here in the Philippines to convince young people we're starting companies to go legal, no? So yeah, are there any questions so far from the group? Anybody from the participants who wants to ask a question? If you have a question, you can put it on the text. You can put it on the chat box, or you can simply turn on your mic. Anybody? Anyone?
if nobody is asking, then I'll try to learn something on the presentation which my dear friend Ma'am Dathalneth has just given. First of all, there is a saying that the lamp gives the light to everybody, but under the lamp there is darkness. So my case is the same. I didn't realize that I had such a good speaker right next to my house, and I have never utilized her for any event. So Ms. Dathalneth, please be prepared that you would be probably called for many more events in coming time. Now, coming to the presentation that you have given, the startups that you said that government is giving subsidies and promotions and all. So is it time bound? What kind of subsidies? What would be the interest like, if at all? And who are eligible and who are not? If you can slightly highlight, I think many viewers within ASEAN who would like to take your invite of coming and investing in the startups would probably be benefited.
Yes, thank you, Sandeep, for your question. First, in terms of time bond, I don't think there is a time bond. But if you follow like all the website like My Enterprise or Skill Development Fund, or maybe SME Bank and CGCC, there is no time bond. But the most important, you must be legalized, which means you have to register. If you don't register, yeah, it's a little bit hard for the government to work with you as well. And also this kind of like for me, I think like kind of like an incentive to push you to be legalized. You pay some taxes, of course, but you get a lot of benefit from the government. So this is kind of like one chance, because some of startup, when I heard from my dear friend, they talk about, oh, I'm hesitant to register, especially for small or micro. They said they earn less money if they register, which means they are liable to pay some taxes. But believe me, 3-year tax incentive is free, so it's not kind of like a big burden for you to register. And now it's a good chance during the pandemic, even though it's very hard in this situation, but the government working very hard. They know exactly how important our SME. That's why the policy have been created, have been enacted, and they are just willing to help. The door is waiting for you, but they cannot push you or force you to come into the door. You have to work. You have to walk by yourself. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. I leave it to the moderator. I see a couple of questions on the chat box. So please, Lisa, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's look at our chat box right now. So okay, so we have here sharing. So one of our speakers is sharing his group. He's looking for partnership for climate change. Okay, so thank you, sir, for sharing. So okay, I'd just like to pose a question for ma'am, no? Because I have a question, no? This is from my experience, no? What kind of legal support does your government, does Cambodia give to a startup in terms of lawyers? No? Because I remember one of the challenges when you're a startup, you're dealing with a bigger guy or an investor. You can't afford a very good corporate lawyer. So it's if you made a wrong deal, no? If you make a wrong, so usually when you're dealing with a bigger guy, a bigger investor, they can afford a lawyer. But if you're a startup, like you said, they usually cash limited. How do they get lawyer support when we're dealing with the big guys in Cambodia?
I'm sorry, I did not get your question because the internet.
Yeah, my question is, if I'm a startup and I need a corporate lawyer because I'm dealing with a bigger guy than me, where can they get support? Because remember you said a while ago that usually the startups, they don't want to register because they have limited resources, right? So when they're dealing with a bigger guy, like like an investor, they need a corporate lawyer in order to ensure that they don't get out. Because like for example, in the Philippines, I know a lot of startups that get kicked out 1 to 2 years because they were not able to hire a very good lawyer and they just got kicked out, just like that. So I want to know if part of the support for startups, for example, in Cambodia and also in Malaysia, is also providing affordable corporate lawyers for startups.
Yeah, for this, I'm not quite sure if we have the government corporate lawyer, but we have private sector are running, like many firms have been established so far, and they are working closely. And of course, there are some association, for example, Cambodian Association, we have the advocacy committee, so you can come and discuss with us, and not just only our association but other also they have their own advocacy team where they are work closely with the government sector. And also each association we have our advisor who have a strong connection with the government. They know exactly what is the business corporate culture, what is the business law, and so forth. And so far we also have arbitration. And we have, like CAMPURECO is our arbitration to have some problem in terms of, employment and also businesses. And other firms that are, like recently, since, like I said, our country become developed, so more law and regulation need to be followed. Therefore, it's giving an opportunity to all those firms to come up. So I don't think there is a problem. If you have a problem, then come to me and I will introduce.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I also posed the same question to our speaker from Malaysia. Sir, do you have any support for startups in terms of dealing with the larger guys in terms of lawyer support? Because this is a usual problem of startups. So yeah, sir, how about in Malaysia for Sir Elangovan? Yes.
So in Malaysia, the way we look at it, we know that startups do require a lot of assistance in terms of legalities and dealing with lawyers. And we actually are providing support to multiple programs. And we also have the Malaysian IPO organization called My IPO, providing thought leadership and also providing upskilling to startups, scale-ups, whatever Malaysian companies that are interested to join, to teach them what their rights, to teach them about how they protect their patents, their copyrights, and their ideas. So we do actually provide those type of support, but by providing them directly lawyers that help them to actually settle cases through courts and everything, that might not be available, but we do have all the other type of supports given to startups if they are actually part of the government-run programs. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing. How about in India? So for our speaker from India, are there any support for startups in terms of dealing with the bigger guys and more powerful lawyers? Oh, sir, we can't hear you. Yes, you need the answer. No,
yeah. So deal with accounting, taxation, company formation, registration, filings, and all the government departments, startups, registrations, and other wherever bank finance. And we have like together integrated all them on a platform. So through that platform, we support the startups, and we startups we give very interesting and like you say, especially packaged revenue systems with them. So which is very good for them. Like it can be, sometimes it can be barter also. So to that level we go. So they don't have to worry of the money they have to pay to the professionals or the professional agencies. They can straight away come to us and we give them this support in India. Also, we are now looking at friends from other countries, neighboring countries, South Asia and ASEAN countries, who need any kind of, try to do any kind of setup in India, in any state. We are trying to give them support through our partners in states, as well as in the national capital or in the major regions. So this also we are trying to do, especially startups, because startups bringing a lot of new innovations. that solve the social as well as the environmental problems or problems that many big companies are unable to look at, or they don't find time to look at it. They look at larger markets, but we can look at problems and we start our businesses from there. So this is what we do. And government also has a lot of legal aid and some kind of aid, certain facilities government also has in India, and at the level of the states, at the level of the districts. So we work with them also. Thank you.
Yes, want to add something since I got from my dear audience say that Ministry of Economic and Finance, they are forming the group for legal team to support startup. So for your information, that from the government.
And one point more I wanted to add, the Startup India scheme is doing very well. They have a lot of like self-certification, taxation benefits, and incubation facilities. A lot of facilities are there, which many of our distinguished speakers from Cambodia and Malaysia and other friends also spoke very well. So we have a lot of schemes, and with these schemes, we need some people in the private sector also, or the social sector also, who can support at them, because government alone can't do everything. We need people, the social sector and the private sector also to come together in a robust way, not just that they're doing their own work in a secluded corner, but in an integrated way, phase together, joining together. So that good coordination has to be there. And we look at a larger role there than that we have been doing in policy formulation for last, say, decade or so with the governments, and a lot of schemes have come that are like moving towards sustainable development. And in fact, we started this when we started Kushigram in 2011. That time we were still working on the human development, because Millennium Development Goals, that period was 2000 to 2015. And in 2011, we started Kushigram, where we looked at many of the sustainable development goals that are there. Of course, more in the Indian or maybe Indo, Nepal and nearby neighboring countries context. But we had a lot of things that were common to the entire world. So it's like people have to come together, and the communities have to come together. Civil society also has to come together with the private companies, because civil society has a special rapport with the people, connect with the people, and private sector startups should take benefits of that. And we are trying to help startups in that also. Thank you.
Oh, they're so lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would like to say something here. I think the speakers have actually given a good view of what is actually required by the private sector, by organizations from various countries to support the startup. Having said that, I think AIBC has taken a direction very clearly to work with all the ASEAN countries to link the SMEs and startups with India. I think India is going to play a very important role working together, as the speaker has just said. But we have to work together, as mentioned by the earlier speaker, unless and until we can spread our wings all around to link with everyone, only then the startups can actually benefit. Because startups don't have the strength in the beginning. They must get some strength where they can move up. And the stage will be either the second stage or the third stage, where they can start linking with a lot of things. So organizations like AIBC today and the various Chamber of Commerce in various ASEAN countries must together play a very important role to see that this can happen. This is actually very important, and I'm very sure that India is moving forward, supporting their startup. They have got many organizations in India who are focusing on this. I think let's link together from all areas, from ASEAN, from India, objectively, to see how this business community, especially the startups, can grow to different levels. Because they are the future. There's no doubt about it. The startups are the future of every country within ASEAN and India. And I would like to again thank all those who have given their views. I think they are all very valuable. From the side of AIBC, we will definitely link with all the speakers and invite them to more talks with more of our friends. I think this is a recorded event. We are going to put it on YouTube, Instagram, and other areas where people can click in to see what we have spoken today and link with us. AIBC has always been very happy to work together with all organizations objectively. Thank you, and now I'll pass it back to you.
May I have a comment, Dato?
Yes, please, Thomas.
Yeah, actually, based on this topic today, I think also startup business is very important today in the world. Even in Indonesia, like Malaysia, there is 1,000 of the startup companies was created in the last 5 years. But the important things is this company actually need a big capital. Yeah, Indonesia now try to support the business startup by linking in the banking system and so on and so on. And we hope also, and I'm also agree that the startup very important in the now as in the next time that we have to concentrate and help them, our members, to do the startup business. Yeah, and the AIBC can help also this startup program to develop in the program of AIBC. Thank you, Dato.
I have just one point. Can I speak?
Yes, please.
Yeah. One interesting thing that we should do is, as AIBC can do, is have more organize more trips as Corona passes. Let's organize more trips where we can not only understand business, but we can link tourism also across the country. So we try to push in and get in more flights as well as road travel, because now adventure and travel is increasing. So as we are like looking at roads, road travel should increase, and then we can, when we come to the country, our partner countries and friends, then we learn a lot about their business also. So it will be a tourism come business, both will increase. And since Buddhism is a key factor between Indo-ASEAN countries, most of the countries, lot of Buddhists keep on traveling to India, and we understand and appreciate that they need lot more facilities, because Buddhism is in my home state, Bihar, and I am from Bihar, and Gaya is very close to our place, Bodh Gaya, and it's a good, it's a lovely place with lot of spiritual feeling when you go to Bodh Gaya, be you from any faith, but when you go there, you feel like, oh, Lord Buddha is around us. So we can do a lot of things, we can do a lot of and we can secure people, because many times people coming from other countries feel that we are not safe. And also, in fact, in tourism facilities in all the countries, we should have, like, we'll take care of the people right from the place they land in the country till the time they take the flight back, or till the time they till the time they take their flight back, or they board on their vehicles. We take care of every aspect of their journey, travel, stay, food, so that they get good food as per their taste and as per their health, whatever they have. And then cultural things also they can see in a better way, because when they have guides which are like more professionals, and entire ecosystem is taken care of. So tourism increases, revenue increases, GDP increases, but more than GDP, I say that gross happiness also increases, gross national happiness also increases, as our neighbor Bhutan always tells us. So this was my point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Okay, now next we have our closing remarks from Johnny Chotrani, country heir of AIBC Philippines. Sir. Sir, I think you have to mute the mic, sir. Unmute the mic, sir. Yeah.
Good day, everyone. Most existing startups face significant challenges due to this COVID crisis. They are more vulnerable to shock brought about by this pandemic. They tend to engage in high-risk activities because traditional funding is hardly accessible. In these times of economic uncertainty, their revenues are greatly affected by containment measures and drop in demands. Startup becomes more financially fragile, which is critical for their survival. The Krishna icon, as per Mr. Kumar, sustainable startups and the development of which are more feasible in this time of crisis. I agree, connectivity is one of the key. Mr. Nedumaran topic on why Malaysia should be your start base is very interesting one. Opportunities and possibilities in Malaysia is limitless. I believe we should explore more on doing ventures in strengthening our ties with Malaysia. I do agree with what Ma'am Dathalneth has discussed, that diversity in business is needed to ensure sustainable growth, and it reduces the country's vulnerability to external shocks such as what we are experiencing right now. We have to be more creative, innovative, as well as explorative on how we can maximize the digital world. We should also learn how to maximize our ASEAN partners through bilateral trading, because this will help strengthen businesses nowadays. Today's webinar is very inspiring one. We will create more of this in the future to help us strengthen business with our ASEAN partners and other neighboring countries. And let us continue to bridge borders through business. On behalf of the ASEAN Business Council, I would like to thank everyone for your continued support on this advocacy. We wish you all the best in your future and present endeavors. Good afternoon.
Very much, sir. So this ends our webinar. So thank you very much for everyone participating. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato Guruji.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.